Okay, so I managed to dig out the old DVD recorder and hook up my Colecovision, and I'm playing Centipede. And on the Colecovision, it is actually a great little game. Tough as nails, and the spiders are really awful in this one. And yeah, the first couple of levels are actually quite doable. And I'm playing this actually not with the original Colecovision controller. I'm using a Y adapter and a micro switch joystick, much like the Competition Pro, which gives me a bit better control. Of course, this only works well with single button games, so if you have a multiple button game, then this little trick won't work, or you need to use a two button controller. Ah, damn, that spider just got me. Well, I kinda misguided my little critter. Oh, and get the scorpion because yeah. So yeah, so this is actually running on a PAL machine, and on an NTSC Colecovision this would actually run even faster. Oh, I die again. I'm not sure if oh, and I'm really oversteering the voice audio, I guess. So I need to check if this is actually working. Yeah, what can you tell about Centipede? It's just a great game, one of the classics. And yeah, I would love to own an arcade cabinet of this. Whoops, get that scorpion. Nope. But I did get the spider, so yeah, I actually love the 2600 version of this game. So that spider really was hurt. I really love the 2600 version of this game. Whoops, die again. Because it's all there. All the gameplay is there. Everything is well. I mean, you can't enjoy the game for its pretty graphics, but it's very basic. But yeah, this really looks the part. I really enjoy the way this looks and plays, and I think this is a must-have on the system actually. So yeah, I'll just shut up and see how far I'll get before the first game over, and I think then I'll need to play another game. So yeah, it's moving along at a brisk pace. I'm not really good at this game actually. This level is really getting more intense. Oops. I really thought I was a goner there. That spider just grazed me. Oops. Yeah. It just keeps on hanging very low, that spot. Oh, man. Game over! Okay. I really am not very good at burger time. The goal of the game is to actually complete a set of 4 burgers by walking over the ingredients without getting killed like this by well, other burger-like thingies. There's eggs and there's sausages roaming the grid, and yeah, touch them and you die. So what kind of chef is that actually? If you happen to let fall one of those burger items on top of the oh gosh, this is not working, is it? Yeah. Well, if you if you manage, you can actually get rid of those buggers by crashing bits of the burger on top of them. And yeah, I really suck at this. Let's go check out another game. Okay, Universal's Cosmic Avenger. Let's press 1. This is a horizontal shooting scroller that is quite special it's a bit like Scramble, but Scramble's actually older. And the Colecovision is not the best at smooth scrolling graphics, and actually this really looks amazing. What is special about this game is that, well, the smooth scrolling, and that there's different levels that and I totally suck at this game. I haven't played this a lot, but because it's not it's just very difficult. So but like Scramble, there's bits or enemies that hurl up at you from down below, and there's a bit of a radar. So it's a bit like Scramble and Defender all mixed into one. And yeah, as you can see, it's actually quite a fun game. I really like games like this. And back in the day, you know, games that had a landscape that you flew over, and like this with these searchlights and stuff, those were actually pretty amazing, because it kind of showed you a vast gaming area that you would not think possible on. Oh look, there's even tanks, small, I don't know, I think tanks or something that actually ride around and shoot things at you. But yeah, just the diversity of the gameplay is just yeah, it's not a Scramble clone. It's just different. But this really defines the horizontal shmup genre, in my opinion. Oh, I barely missed that bullet, but yeah, and it just speeds up like crazy sometimes. So it's not really a bullet hell shooter. The hardware isn't capable of it, but it's pretty intense actually, with near misses or, you know, explosions like this. And yeah, me trying actually to get anywhere in this game. Yeah, I'm not sure. Ah, yeah, this is actually quite reminiscent of Scramble. Okay, it's more or less a Scramble clone, I guess, on the Colecovision, because there's similar levels in Scramble as well, and you have to get some fuel, I guess, and yep, and I die. I'm not the best at this game, but yeah, let's lose up my lives and just use up the lives and see how far I get. And I guess for this Colecovision video series, this is gonna be it. I don't want to drag them out for more than 10 minutes, so I'll make another one. Oh, there's actually rockets being propelled your way. Oops, and I die again. Well, that's it. End of the video, I guess, or not. Oh no, I have a single life left. So yeah, let's play on. Ah, look, it's kind of abrupt. So you can actually see that the scrolling that they use seems to be some sort of rotating of the character graphics. I'm not sure, perhaps Tony Electric Adventures will be able to shed some light on the, you know, the scrolling techniques used in this game. I think they animate the bitmaps in the character, the modified character set or something. Yeah, that's it. Game over, I guess. And we're back with Defender, a horizontal shooter programmed by Eugene Jarvis, and it was released by Williams in February 1981. It originated on the arcade platform, but it was also ported to the Atari 2600 and a whole plethora of other 8-bit systems. It's a tough game. The premise is actually to shoot the green aliens and protect the purple inhabitants of that unnamed planet below. And of course it's difficult, as you can see by the explosion of my spaceship. Yeah, a very cool game, smooth scrolling, a nice feat on the Colecovision, because it's not something that is easily done on that system. There I shot the alien. You can actually shoot the spaceship, then the little person drops down, and you can scoop down and save the little person and just let it drop. Each level, the aliens have more attack patterns. Different aliens appear actually on the screen, and it's a very intense game. If, like me, you were exposed to the port of Defender on the home platforms first, before actually experiencing the arcade port, oh look there, I just saved a little person, then you would be very surprised by looking at the arcade cabinet, because it has a very different control scheme. And I explode again. It has a two-way control stick, a joystick, and it has 5 buttons, and which makes it actually quite harder to control. Yeah, that's something that really is not found on these home ports. Actually, I find the Atari 2600 version a little tougher than this version, and also the arcade version is quite a bit tougher. The Commodore 64 and the VIC-20 versions are actually quite good as well, perhaps even a bit better than this one. But yeah, if you do own a Colecovision, this is actually a game that may not be missing from your collection, especially if you like horizontal shooters like this. I think this is one of the games, together with Scramble, that really made me desire shmups, shoot 'em ups, more so than many other genres. And yeah, it's just a very nice port of this. I love this big explosion. You can actually see the Colecovision having quite a few issues displaying that many sprites, because it sprites that explosion horizontally on the same line, so you can actually see some flickering of the sprites. I just loathe those red home-seeking missile thingies that come your way. You can easily get hit by the alien fire. It's hard to distinguish that from the scrolling stars in the background. And yeah, that kind of makes the game a lot less winnable. And as you can see, it's game over. Let's go check out another game. And we're back with Donkey Kong, running on the Colecovision. It's a game by Nintendo, and it was ported or brought out in 1981. And it's well, it's the ultimate platform game, the jump and run type of game. And I think this version is actually quite good, even though the ape Donkey Kong is actually standing on the opposite side of the screen compared to the arcade versions. But that has to do with the limitations in the resolutions of the graphical resolution, and I think, I'm not sure why they would actually change it around otherwise. I like this platform bit. It's not as easy as the other bits, and yeah, you can really get closed in by the flames that actually are floating around the platform. I always found it very strange that you can actually not touch, or that you could actually stand so very close to Donkey Kong without him lashing out at you. But yeah, for some reason that ape just is probably mesmerized, or hypnotized or whatever. And I think I just barely got that little flame. So let's get that last platform and then jump over to the other one. And I think I've got it. Jump over it, yes. This is a very nice screen as well, and it has a couple of shortcuts. Whoops! Oh, oops! Yeah. I mean, yeah, he can easily die. Our little guy, Mario. I don't think this is the. Oops. I don't think this is the first Mario game ever, but yeah, Mario, the super, what is it, the Nintendo's super mascot, really looks like Mario in this game. Whoops, yeah. Actually, if you go on top of the first, you know, the first letters, and then you jump across, you can actually get across without having to evade a lot of the nasties. But I seem to be dead set on dying at the same time. Yeah. This actually was supposed to be King Kong, but I think Universal Studios put a stop to that, so Nintendo had to come up with a different name, so they came up with Donkey Kong. Donkey Kongu in Japanese, and probably they chose the name Donkey because, well, the ape is rather stupid in this game, so donkey meaning mule or donkey. So that's one of the theories behind that game. So let's see if I can rescue the damsel in distress. And yes, I'm back to this bit. So it has. I'm not sure if it actually has the tart, the pie level in it. I was actually under the impression that all the levels were present, all the arcade levels, were present. Hey, that's some mighty what is it? Hammer resistant flame. Let's walk across. Yeah, that's not going well. Nope. Yeah, I'm not sure about the pie bit. You know, what is it? The transporter belts and the pies that run along it. Yeah, every Donkey Kong game, every port has slight variations on the theme. Not all feature the same levels, and sometimes you can actually have an interlude thingy where Mario is displayed, or the monkey is displayed, and it shows you how far up you've gone, with each level being 25 meters higher, I think. But yeah, I guess this is enough for now. Okay, and here we're back with Galaxian. Galaxian, are otherwise called Gyurkushan. It came out in 1979 in the arcades and was produced by Namco Midway. Namco brought it out in Japan, and Bally Midway, actually brought it out in Northern America. It's a shooter, a vertical shooter, that is very similar to Galaga. I always confuse the two. But yeah, it's very similar to Space Invaders. Space Invaders had a black and white screen, but it faked colors by a mirror and projecting the black and white image on top of a multicolored background, which really made the game look stunning, actually. What also made this game look stunning is the fact that RGB colors were used in the tube that actually could produce a lot of different colors. And yeah, the game is quite similar to Space Invaders, just because the aliens move left and right on the top of the screen. They kind of hug the screen. What is missing is the three bases, and yeah, basically there are swarms of aliens that actually attack you. And what's also quite amazing is the fact that it actually has a background tune, or somewhat of a background tune going on. I think this is one of the first video games that actually features something like that in the arcade. And yeah, it's one of those single screen arcade games that really yeah, set the standard back in the day, like games like Dig Dug, PacMan, Jerris, which I actually am going to take a look at a little later on. You know, those games really were amazing, and yeah, this game is among one of my favorites. And yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think there was a Galaga out for the ColecoVision, and yeah, let's see how I do here. Basically, you have these super motherships that you can actually take down and multiply your firepower with. Or was that with a Galaga? I always forget. Something about the hardware that it's running on. It's actually running on a Z80 processor, running at 3.072 megahertz. And I think there was two-player support, but that actually made the players take turns. It's not that two players could play simultaneously. And yeah, I really love this game, and I hope you guys do too. I think this is also one of the must-have for the ColecoVision system, and it's a good port. This PAL version is a bit slower than the NTSC game, but it's all in all, it's a great shooter, and very much worth playing. And yeah, as you can see, I'm not very good at it. I just yeah. Let's go check out the other game that actually is very similar to this one. Okay, and we're back with Jerris, which was developed by Konami, and it was released in 1983. Initially in the arcade, but it received a ton of home ports, including the Atari 2600. And this version on the ColecoVision is actually quite a good one. This and Time Pilots, both are excellent games, and both are actually programmed by the same programmer, Yoshiki Okamoto. And yeah, basically both are actually running on the same arcade hardware. What else? Well, it's the game is actually quite similar to that of Galaxian and Galaga, but what is different is the fact that the whole playing field is warped in some sort of 3D cylinder type thing, very reminiscent of that what you can find in Tempest. I'm not sure if Tempest actually was later than this game. May have been. That was a vector graphics game. Yeah, basically, like in Galaga and Galaxians, you have enemies that fly down towards you, hurling their bullets at you, and you have to shoot up and you have to destroy them. And what makes this game more interesting is that there's actually a thing that is called a power-up. It's actually one of the first games that actually has power-ups like this. Yeah, you destroy the satellite and then you get a twin shot, and that's actually more powerful. Also, the attack patterns of the aliens is somewhat predictable, or actually quite predictable. If you know the patterns, you can position your spaceship in such a way that you'll be able to shoot down all the spaceships and get a maximum score. And yeah, what's also quite interesting is the fact that there's change stages where you actually can ramp up more, score a higher score. And what is fun is actually that it's sometimes quite possible to get a perfect score like I'm doing right now. Yeah, the fun thing is that you actually fly towards the center of the solar system. I think the purpose is not to reach Earth, which I am always trying to do, but you actually have to fly beyond Earth and reach the center of the solar system. Not sure why. You know, that's the thing. And of course, when you approach Uranus, it's always fun to make jokes about that. Commodore 64 version is actually quite a good one. There's an 8-bit Atari version that's actually not as good as the ColecoVision version. The Atari 5200 actually received a port. And the version on the Atari 2600 is actually something to behold, because it's actually quite playable, remarkably playable for such a limited machine. So yeah. Oh, a quick note, the version on the Nintendo is actually quite different. I played that also. There's a video on that. They have end stage bosses. They changed the music, which is also quite interesting in this game. So yeah, a must-have for the system, and yeah, definitely one of my favorites. There's a good version on the GBA as well. So yeah, let's go check out another classic. Okay, and here we are with PacMan. This is actually a game that I'm running from a flash card because it actually is an unreleased prototype. Yeah, not sure why they didn't release it, because it's a very good game, a very good port. It actually, the layout is actually quite similar to the layout that you will find on the Commodore 64 and the Atari 8-bit home computer ports. And yeah, it plays very similar. And yeah, PacMan. I mean, it's the well, it's the video game that a lot of people, even grandmothers, grandfathers, know what that is a video game, and not something else. And yeah, it was released in 1980 in the arcade. It spun a ton of sequels like Miss Pac-Man and Junior Pac-Man. It was released on virtually every computer system and console system out there. And also, there's just a ton, I mean, really a ton of unauthorized bootlegs and clones, even in the arcade, but also on home computer systems. Even I, myself, was programming a Pac-Man clone on the Commodore 64. For some reason, a maze game like this is actually a very nice way to learn how to program a game. Have the main program loop, collision detection, the AI for the ghosts. I mean, you can easily program ghosts that just home in on you relentlessly, but that makes the game unplayable because, I mean, going after the Pac-Man character in a very logical, straightforward way actually makes them home in, and yeah, will basically allow you not to play the game. So you have to make the ghosts a bit stupid. And that's quite a challenge, how to make the ghosts a bit stupid and let them make mistakes or make them have blind spots, and so that you can actually win the game. And yeah, true Pac-Man players actually memorized all the patterns from all the grids, all the levels, and they know the safe places in the safe spots in the maze, so they can really keep on going. Yeah, if I have to choose between Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man is actually, well, a very nice sequel, then I will just almost invariably choose Miss Pac-Man over Pac-Man, because it's just a tad more interesting. Pac-Man is a bit boring, in my opinion, but still one of my favorites, but a bit more boring than Miss Pac-Man. What is also quite a good Pac-Man version is Pac-Mania, which is also released in the arcade, but also a ton of other platforms. And yeah, with me just babbling on, yeah, yeah, it's not the way to play Pac-Man. So sadly, this was not released on a cartridge, on a real cartridge on the ColecoVision. But if you own a flash cartridge like I do, you can actually play this game, which was unreleased, on the real ColecoVision like that. And yeah, I would love for this to be released as a, you know, a, how do you say that, a re-release or, you know, a reproduction, just because it's very nice to have a cartridge like this with this game on it. Yeah, great must-have game, and yeah, well, you know, it's actually no use talking much more about this. Not sure actually if this version of PacMan actually also features a 256 split screen level that just corrupts the graphics and makes the game unplayable when you are at the 256th level. Not sure if that is actually also programmed into this. PacMan, you always see record attempts at PacMan on the arcade, but I'm not sure about record attempts on the home ports. Should be quite interesting. Not sure if actually the home ports feature the same type of you know, patterns of the ghosts that you can memorize. They may be more random, I'm not sure. But yeah, just an awesome game. And as you can see, I'm not ramping up a nice high score. I'm just failing miserably. And not sure what I was doing there with the blue ghost. For some reason, this PacMan is, if you turn a corner in most PacMan versions, you just get killed because the ghost will actually be able to reach you, you know, when it's coming around the corner. And in this game, you kind of escape more than in the other versions. But yeah, I really can't fathom why this wasn't officially released on the Colecovision, because it's a great port. Whoops. It's quite a tough game. I mean, the standard way of playing this, I'm not very familiar with all the patterns. I just love to play this game, but I'm actually quite rubbish at it. I'm actually quite good at Miss PacMan, but yeah, well, I'm not sure what I was saying, but it's a bit late, and I've been playing a ton of Colecovision games here. Oh, yeah, that's funny. He loses part of his sheet. And let's see if I can get to 20,000 points, perhaps actually get an extra life. Oops, well, I got 20,000 points, no extra life, and it's game over for me. Okay, so we have Popeye, a game created by Nintendo, and it was released in 1982, and it's a classic single-screen platforming game that was released on various platforms, like the arcade, Commodore 64, Nintendo Entertainment System, Magnavox Odyssey 2, or also known as Video Pack, the Colecovision that you see here, and the Atari 2600. So Nintendo got into a bit of a licensing thing because they wanted to use these characters in the original Donkey Kong game, but they couldn't acquire the license in time, so they ended up putting Popeye into this game. And if you didn't know that already, Donkey Kong was actually based off King Kong, but they couldn't license the name King Kong, so hence the name Donkey Kong. So, the object of the game is for Popeye to collect a certain number of items that Olive dropped. In this screen it's hearts, 24 hearts, and in other levels it's musical notes or letters. And at the same time you have to avoid Brutus, who's also prancing around. And yeah, You cannot attack Brutus just by punching him. You can only attack him like this. If you eat your spinach and you turn green, then you get a certain amount of time to actually go after Brutus and beat the crap out of him. This game really is one of the classic arcade games on the Colecovision, and I think it has been executed very nicely. I myself played the Commodore 64 port quite a bit. On it, the sprites are a bit more multicolored. In this game, Popeye is kind of white, but all in all, it's a good game, and it really plays very well, even with the original Colecovision controller, which can be a pain to use most of the time. After reading up on it a little, I found out that this game was actually ported to quite a number of other systems as well, like the TRS Color 2, was it Color TRS 80 Color computer. It was also ported to the Texas Instruments TI-99 and the Atari 8-bit home computer systems. I bet it was some sort of left cartridge. The Intellivision also received a port, the Atari 25, the 5200. The Sega Master System also received a port. So let's see how I do in this level. This is actually the level where musical notes are actually drifting down, and yeah, as you can see, there's quite a number of licensed Popeye characters in this game. And look at that, the seesaw. Yeah, Brutus, he is a very annoying hulk of a person. He's able to grab you from below, like if you walk over on top of the platform like I'm doing, like I just did. He can actually jump up and grab you, and you'll be losing a life. And he can also bend over and grab below. So that really sounds very nasty, but yeah, I was lucky here, and let's try my luck again. I was lucky again, and now he jumps up. So yeah, that's basically what happens if you get a bit too cocky. That really sounds very bad in this game, grabbing from up below and whatever. Anyways, this is a very cool game, and I think it's a must-have in any 8-bit computer system collection, and it's very playable, and as you can see, I'm not very good at it. I'm really curious whether or not I'll be able to finish this level. I would love to show you the level where you can actually collect the letters, but oops, yeah, you have to punch those. I think it's game over. Yeah. On to another great game, and that is Qbert. Designed by Gottlieb, Parker Brother Ultra Games, Sony Online Entertainment, and it was released in 1982. And it's a great, well, wonderful looking isometric platform game in which you just jump around, avoid the baddies, and you turn all the steps into a different color. Depending on the level, you just have to jump on every step once or twice or more to make them change colors. And if you have jumped on every step in this pyramid, then you get to go to the next level like this. There's escape platforms that you can use, and yeah, if you jump into one of the opponents, he swears, and that's actually one of the fun parts about this game. But there's escape platforms that you can jump on if you are cornered by the many adversaries that actually roam the platform, and you'll get transported to the top of the pyramid, or the top of the playing field, and yeah, you get to escape the enemies. The enemies are kind of dumb. They just jump around, except for the snake thing that really seems to pursue you. But the balls just drop down, and they just don't go up. They just keep on dropping down. And this is the second level. So it's also a one jump thingy. But there's, I think it's squid that actually come down or come up from above. and well, they are kind of dumb. They and I die again. They don't really pursue you, but they move kind of erratically. So the balls are just, you know, zigzagging across, and their actions are quite a bit predictable. But those, yeah, those octopi, they really aren't that predictable. It's yeah, I really like the presentation of this game. I really like the fact that the little character is is quite a bit of a foul mouth. It's yeah, it's quite iconic. I really would love to have a T-shirt with I'm not sure what this little dude is. I think Qbert, but Qbert is you know, and with the swearing balloon on top. I would really love that. So yeah, and as you can see, I'm not that good at this game, and it's actually very actually very hard to play this with the original controller, because it's all diagonal controls actually that you have to use. So not the best with the old Colecovision joystick gamepad thingy. So here you can actually see that you have to jump on each step, twice. And I doubt whether or not I'll be able to show you some more rounds of this level. So things are moving in the right direction. Yeah, there's actually opponents that really revert the steps that you've just created. So it can be quite a bit of a challenge trying to color all the steps. Yeah, and this actually was a case of joystick error. Okay, moving on. Smurf Rescue. I'm not sure if this is actually a great game, but it was quite iconic for the Colecovision due to its, well, wonderful animations. So the premise of the game: Gargamel is kidnapped Smurfette, and yeah, you have to go rescue Smurfette. And it's yeah, what is supposed to be a very nice platformer is actually a very tough, hard as nails, pixel perfect platform jumping game that has you die more often than you care for, which makes it, well, kind of a grind. But yeah, today it doesn't hold up that well, I think, because of its difficulty level. But back then, seeing each new screen was actually quite a thing. And you really wanted to reach Smurfette, and the graphics are quite amazing, a bit reminiscent of Wonder Boy actually. Let's move on. So here we have Sega's Space Fury, released in 1981. It was an arcade game and also brought out on the Colecovision. There were no ports on other systems that I'm aware of. It has great graphics. Look at those that alien head that just talks to you. On first glance, it actually is quite similar to asteroids, you'd think, but it isn't, because it's actually alien spaceships that actually fire weapons at you. And I really love the explosions in this game. You rotate with your buttons, and yeah, this bit is actually quite interesting because it's a weapon system. Each time you finish a level, then you get to choose an upgrade, and each upgrade has a different color. And that's actually quite interesting because these early shooters basically just didn't have any weapon system at all. Well, one of the vertical shooters, Galaga or Collections, I always forget which one, also features an upgrade where you get to capture one of the alien spaceships that hovers down, and you get a twin shooting action. But this game just has you pick up upgrades when you kill off all the baddies in one of the levels. Great explosions, great animations. I really don't do this game justice because I'm actually quite bad at it. I haven't played it that much actually. So yeah, let's see if I get anywhere in this game. Oh yeah, I actually read that this game is actually out on the PSP as well, but only as an unlockable game in the Sega Genesis collection that's out there. So the American Mega Drive collection on the PSP. You can actually unlock this game as an unlockable extra. So let's pick that upgrade and see how I do. Yeah, games like this with the rotation action and the fire to thrust yourself forward really is, well, it's kind of reminiscent of Resident Evil, and I think this game would have benefited immensely with a different control scheme, like a twin stick shooter. Really, games like this in a twin stick shooting format would be so much better, so much faster, and so much more entertaining, because a control scheme like this, where you rotate and around an axis, it's actually quite a bit cumbersome. So yeah, being used to twin stick shooters, this actually feels a bit restricted, but yeah, I still love the type of gameplay where you just, you know, fly around this well, combat area and try to beat the living crap out of all those aliens that try to kill you. Yes, and as you can see, I kind of forget to fire my weapon, and I end up getting utterly destroyed in the process. So I'm not doing this game any justice by showing you some stellar gameplay, just, you know, giving you a feel of the game. And I encourage you to actually seek out this game and try it out for yourself. It's out there for the Colecovision. Oh, and I was just checking out. There seems to be a Vectrex homebrew version of this game as well, and it's called Space Frenzy. So for all those Vectrex fans, you may want to check it out. Okay, let's move on to another game and receive some praise by the weird alien with the exposed brain. Okay, and now on to Time Pilot. This is a game by Konami, and it really is among my favorites. This and Jerris both are, well, among my favorite arcade games. It's an arcade original. It was ported to the Atari 2600, the MSX, Colecovision, and it is also found on the Xbox Arcade. The Commodore 64 didn't receive an official port, but it has a very nice port for it. I actually made a video on that a while ago. I may actually put a link down below in the description. So it's also a multi-directional space shooter, but it has a better control scheme because you actually move in the direction that you're pulling the stick. So that actually works quite a bit better than just the rotational control scheme that we had in the other game. So you can actually see within these games, you can actually see the control schemes evolve over time. Well, what the premise of the game is actually shoot down the enemy planes, rescue the trapped pilots. They drift down on their parachutes. You actually save them. You get a couple of extra points. Below, well, and actually you fight across different areas. This is actually 1940. You go into different areas. You start in 1910 with biplanes and blimp as a boss. 1940 has World War II monoplanes and a B-52 bomber. 1970 has helicopters and a CH-47 that you actually have to battle. And in 1982 you actually have a jet and also a B-52 bomber. And the final stage is UFOs in 2001. The mothership, you have to destroy it, and if you reach the final level, the game just gets harder and continues to circle around these areas. So there's no end to this game. It just keeps on going. You don't get a final victory. And yeah, it really is a very nice game. if you can, please. Oh yeah, and I'm not completely. There's a great Konami Classics in the Game Boy Advance, on the Game Boy Advance. I actually made a video on that also, but it may have been flagged. I'm not sure. Konami's really being a bit of a pain in the butt when it comes to copyright stuff. Yeah, great game. It's out there on actually many platforms, and yeah, really among my favorites. So yeah, the thing is that the colors of the background really are a bit weird when it comes to this game. So 1970, I'm going to 1982 or 82. I thought it was 82, but it seems to be 1985 in this game. So it's jets, and I explode. Below the date, the year, is actually an indication of how many enemies you still have to destroy. So it does give you a sense of where you are in the level and how much longer you will have to hold out. And yeah, this is a tough game. You really find yourself being faced with this game over a lot. And here we have Zaxxon, an amazing game by Sega, released in 1982, and it's an isometric shooter, and it's scrolling, and it's well beyond what was seen on many other games at the time. You know, it had a playing field that just extended way beyond the screen. Very nice shooter, and it received quite a huge number of ports. It was brought out on the original MS-DOS. It was a bootable floppy, so it came with its own OS. The Amiga 1000 had a port, the Apple II, the Atari 8-bit range of computers, the Atari 2600, the Atari 5200, the MSX system, the ZX Spectrum also got a port. The Commodore 64 version I played a lot. The Dragon 32 also had a version, and this, of course, the Colecovision. It also came out on the Intellivision, the Sega SG-1000, and the TRS-80 color computer. Not all ports had the isometric view. Some of the older ports actually had a vertical playing field view. So the premise of the game actually is always something that kind of eluded me. You just basically fly around shooting everything in sight. You have to make sure that your fuel doesn't run out. How do you refuel? Well, by blowing up fuel drums. I'm not sure how that fueling procedure actually works, but yeah, you seem to be refueling while you destroy fuel pumps. You can gauge your altitude by looking at the altimeter, and when you reach this part where you actually fly in space with enemy spaceships approaching you, there's actually a little crosshair and a little sound that you hear when you're actually in the same height and at the same level of the and you can actually fly into enemy fire as well. It's actually, this is one of the most tough parts of the game, and it's quite a bit of hit and miss. Yeah, these gaps that you have to fly through are actually quite difficult as well. And there's also yeah, fences, laser grid fences that actually guard some of the grids, and you can actually fly into those as well. But yeah, and you actually have end bosses that you have to fight. So yeah, quite an amazing game, and I really like the isometric feel of it. It really made it into a 3D game. It's really weird how the graphics are actually cut off instead of the walls actually you know, moving up a bit further, but actually the top and the bottom blue border actually yeah, is what you can actually see of the playing field. I would have thought that the higher stuff would actually scroll in the top left triangle, you know. I'm not sure if I make myself clear, but yeah, there's not much enemies approach. This is the boss. And as you can see, the Coleco, like many other systems that use this chipset, has a bit of issues with too many sprites on the screen, and you get flicker. Quite a lot of systems actually have that. These small gaps make, yeah, on the more advanced levels, make it actually quite a bit tougher to maneuver. And of course, those things flying up at you, I really have to, yeah. I'm really overzealously trying to get some fuel. In the first parts of the game, you really can get by without refueling that much, but I seem to be drawn to shooting those oil drums, making, yeah, getting myself into very dangerous situations like that. You get shot at and you actually die quite a bit. Yeah, the system doesn't, the Colecovision doesn't feature smooth scrolling, which is a shame because that would actually have improved the game even more. But yeah, I mean, it was amazing back in the day. It still is. And this also can be found on the PSP in the Sega Genesis collection as an unlockable game. So yeah, and also on the PlayStation 2 version of the Sega Genesis collection. So yeah, great game. And this actually concludes my on the Colecovision, and I try not to fly into the radar, and I just did.